Well, hello everyone. Welcome back once again. So good to see you. It's 5:30 Pacific time, my time. So that means it's time for another live stream featuring the Shower Door Professionals. If you are on the Facebook page, you can join us because it's actually streaming this week live. So just click on the link there to enter the chat and come on in. You can hang out and we'll talk about stuff. What are we going to talk about? I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about. We had Sam actually invited um, his what am I trying to think of? HR person. And I thought we were going to get her lined up to come in and talk. So we talked a few weeks back about HR and seeing if we could have someone come in and answer questions about it. So we made contact, but haven't managed to get that on the calendar yet. So we have to keep working at that. But any other ideas for someone we might want to invite to come on as our guest, talk to us about stuff?
All sorts of good stuff. Well,
Yeah,
what would
sky's the
you,
limit,
yeah, what do you want to talk about?
right? Could be
Anything.
anything.
It could be anything from Steve, you shared your racks in your warehouse with the guy that was asking about building some new racks.
That was
Uh,
actually I was asking about trying
yes,
to do racks because I'm still stacking everything on top of each other, and I've got probably 30, 40 pieces coming in the next week or week and a half. So it's going to be a pile. So I'm
but
just trying to get ahead of that curve.
did you see the firestorm that had started? Because there was a lot of activity over that topic. And
Yeah, yeah.
everyone had good feedback from harp racks to peg racks. Uh, I think we've all been in your situation where you're stacking them on top of each other, and you always need the bottom ones. It's never the
No,
job going out tomorrow is never the top ones ever.
right.
So what does that cause? You try and dig them out by yourself so the other ones fall over on you,
Yeah.
or they scratch and chip. So if you have the wall space, you can either make your own harp rack, you can make your own peg rack, which is the easiest to do, especially if you have a big piece and a small piece, because the small pieces, you notice you have a peg rack up around 4 feet high, and the other one you should put around 2 feet high. So your small pieces can be adjacent to it, and you can see them. In a harp rack, I don't believe you can do that with the short pieces. So if you had a little 4-inch piece that's going up on a half wall, that would generally go in line with a door. You'd
Right.
have to stack it somewhere else.
Yeah, and I've got on my side of one side of the shop. I've got probably a 10-foot wall, a window, and then another 10-foot wall. So I was thinking, a couple of the pegs, and then a drop rack below that window for all the small stuff.
But you should definitely do them where you separate them so they're not up against each other, where you don't have to, pull some aside, slide it out, be careful.
Right.
But when you put them up, then you should number them also. Number each slot. So when you get your glass in and you check it and you assign it a slot number, write that down on your job ticket or whatever. So when you go to load your truck in the morning and you're doing the Smith job, it'll say right on it, Smith job. First piece is in slot 23, the other one's in 33, the other one's in 56.
Right.
They don't all have to be together as long as you've identified where they are. And some people used to just write Smith on a piece of tape and put it in the slot until you get your second and third Smith in a row. And now you're pulling the wrong glass for the wrong customer.
Right,
So
right.
that's the whole reason a lot of businesses use work order numbers, or they use purchase order numbers instead of using customer names. The numbers don't get duplicated. Names can get duplicated and misspelled and other things. So you make the rack and you number them. And then as you check your glass in and put it in a slot, you just take that number and assign it to wherever you keep your paperwork for that job. So the day of installation, whether it's you or somebody else, you're pulling the glass and you're pulling the hardware for that job right from those slots. Then it frees up the slots for the next job. Right.
Yep. I'm gonna start working on that here sooner before later.
Really easy. Take 2x4s, mount it, and then just drill on a drill press the holes for your dowels. And I think we use 1/2-inch dowels, and you put your holes every inch apart.
Sounds easy enough.
Drill them, peg them in, glue it, and leave the pegs long enough to keep the glass stable.
Yep.
I think you'll like it a lot. Carpet the back. I think it was Ilion showed his, and it showed brick on the back wall. Now, granted, the 2x4s stick out, but you know when you tilt it, that corner goes up, and you don't want to hit in a brick. So I would either carpet or pad the back wall. It could be cardboard, it can be foam, whatever you want. But I would do that and what you're sitting on, so you don't chip the bottom edges.
Yeah, and as far as the base goes, are we just laying down like rubber stall mats or stuff like that, or are we building up platforms? Or
we build a little platform with just a very slight pitch front to back, so they sit with the weight tilted back. And I use carpet because the rubber mats, the glass would catch on it and start ripping it after time. Mm-hmm. When it comes time to change it, it's a real nuisance. You got to move all the glass. Yeah. Carpeting is going to last a lot longer for you. Yeah. But if you had a good sport court like they use in the roller hockey rinks like that would work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The soft foam has a tendency to rip, but the hard rubber is good.
Yeah. You know what? I bought a lot. I'm not sure if you guys have this in your area, but there's a Tractor Supply store, and they've got like it's 1/2-inch thick 4x6 rubber mats.
Yep.
Use those a lot and cut them up or whatever just to make pads.
Yeah, just make sure they're not the soft rubber. So when you put the glass in there,
that's what I use to roll my glass. I'll set those down and I roll some giant pieces on those 1/2-inch. It is real thick, dense foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or rubber, I should say, not foam.
Yeah, it's for horse stalls.
Right. Those are really good.
We put them down in our stalls for the horses.
And you can glue them on the back wall too. You know, give yourself that bumper room for the back. So as you slide it in, you're not hitting a nail, you're not hitting brick or cinder block or whatever your walls are made of. I say brick because I see brick right behind you, so I assume that's.
Yeah, I've got a mixture of my shop is like an office, and then a building, and then a building, and then a building. So some's brick, some sheetrock, some's metal. I've got a few different surfaces to mount on.
But I love to hear you're building your business where you're getting that kind of a problem. That's good.
Yeah,
that means you have that quantity of glass coming in. That's a good problem to have. Yeah. And I think you were really smart to ask the question, but it was nice how many people were answering you too.
Sure.
Again, Chris, another good reason for this forum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's interesting, like now I'm familiar with harp racks from back when I used to work as an implant worker when I was a kid. But the peg rack, I've never heard of that before.
Oh, I think,
and as you're describing it, it sounds like I think I can picture it.
Yeah, some of the guys posted on here. If you look back through the screen, I'm not privy enough, or I'm not good enough on a computer to find it, but I'll bet you Robert's already got it posted in the chat or something. Right. But I think Billy Britt sent a picture of his. Eliban sent a picture of his. Mike Marlena may have sent his from Massachusetts.
He actually sent me a video kind of around his shop showing his I guess you call him peg rack system, and it was awesome.
He did an amazing job. You know, he took a couple trips down here, and we've kind of been helping him grow his business. And next time you get a chance to talk to him, it's mind blowing what he's done. He's done amazing.
Right. His message did credit the Dobmans for that. So
well, you know, I credit him because he took the initiative to do things. I've had
Sure.
guys come down and we show them stuff, but then nothing happens. But man, the guy's a go-getter. He just does things.
Mhm.
It's good. He's doing a really good job.
That's
Proud of
what
him.
it takes, huh?
Yeah, you got to, right?
Yep.
And we all have our tricks. There's going to be other tricks that I don't even know about that I'm going to learn from somebody here. It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, so I have a Quonset hut. I don't know how many of you have actually seen what my shop space looks like, but it's a Quonset, so it's curved, and it's really hard to utilize space in there. The peg thing wouldn't work, there's just no way. And actually I've built some wooden racks, just kind of like an A-frame type of rack that I set my glass on, but I'm really limited for space because it's just the shape of my building.
You own that building or you lease that building?
No, I just rent it.
You rent it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what to the top of the dome? What's your height?
Oh, it's probably like 15 feet.
Okay. So if you did the peg rack, obviously you would lose space behind it. So you'd have to try and, because you'd have to build it out so you can get enough height from when your curvature starts in your arch, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I
But-
mean, really what would make sense would be to put all the racks down the middle of the building.
Okay.
And actually, yeah, you could do something like that. You could do that right down the middle, just kind of build a wall.
Yeah, make
Middle of
them
the
back to
building and
back.
put pegs on both sides. And
Yeah.
you'd have the maximum amount of space in the tallest part of it. And then just try to figure out how to utilize, it's like once you get like out to the edges where it gets
Yeah.
comes to the ground. I mean, you can stick like, boxes, or you can like tubs of stuff. I mean, you can like, if you're strategic, you can kind of Tetris your way into utilizing that space, but it's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever think about getting a different space, or is that so close to your
Every
home
day,
and
every day.
every day you think about it?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna outgrow this space pretty quickly. I think we got one truck, one crew. If we had a second truck and another crew, it would almost be, there wouldn't be room for everybody.
Right. Right.
Just because of access. We're in a great location as far as the street that we're on. It's a busy street right in the middle of town. But big trucks can't deliver here because there's no way to pull over. So that makes it tricky. And then yeah, access would be really hard if we had a second truck. So once we get to 2 trucks and 2 vans, or two vans and 2 crews,
Mhm.
pretty much gonna have to find a new facility too.
So you pick up all your glass, Chris?
Well, yeah, sort of. I rent another space. So I've got a buddy who owns a pool and spa place on the other side of the freeway, and he's got access. He's got a wrought iron gate and a big enough access for a semi to back in. So I get everything delivered there, and then we just go over and pick it up. So we don't have to go pick up from the supplier. We just have to
Okay.
drive over about a mile from our shop and load up glass.
So,
Okay.
Chris, let me ask you this. So when you get it delivered, you get 10, 15, 20, 30 pieces delivered at a time?
Sure.
And do they put them all in one stack, or they put them in a harp rack, or do they put them in a peg rack, or how do they deliver?
Yeah, it's an A-frame rack.
An A-frame. So they stack them on an A-frame.
Yep.
So instead of leaning them against a wall, you're on an A-frame, and you may need the job that's in the middle of the A-frame, and you're leaning them back to pull glass out of that pile.
Well, no, not really, because what we do is when it gets delivered, we pick it up, bring it over to the shop, and then
Immediate.
yeah, inspect it. Right. It
Okay.
needs to be checked out right away.
Okay.
And then I have kind of like the equivalent of a racks on the one side of my building. Just and then a few like just little A-frames sitting around, you know, that are portable that I can move around. So if we get a bunch of glass,
Yeah.
I can kind of shuffle it around. But yeah, it's a lot of shuffling glass, and what we try to do is just get everything installed right away, right? So it's not sitting around. But sometimes
Did you-
stuff does sit around for a while.
Did
Can't
you
help it.
see the post on LinkedIn today? And I think it was Alex Bushel maybe posted it. It was kind of a glass guy, but it was a really neat tour of the Pilkington float plant in England. And everything from pouring the sand into the kiln and getting it all started and showing the whole float plant. Really good video.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. I don't know how many guys have gone through a float plant, but
I never have.
very, very, very interesting. It's well done video.
Was it hot in there?
Yeah. It's hell. Hot. It's hot and it's dirty. Yeah.
It's hot and it's dirty.
Who posted that?
I think his name is Alex Bushel on LinkedIn.
Alex, yeah, he posts a lot of good stuff. I follow that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of good content.
He's from the glass industry. He's not part of our shower door professionals.
I know, I don't know what
but
that's
he's
about, but you know,
He's a glass industry guy.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a good topic. I mean, it's always a challenge to maximize your space, and when you're working with glass, it kind of compounds
Yeah.
the difficulty of it, right? Because it's
You want to limit your touches,
yeah,
right? Like everything else.
absolutely.
Limit the touches, less chance of chips and scratches.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, we had a whole segment on callbacks and go backs. Well, this is a big thing right here. You limit your touches, you're gonna greatly reduce your callbacks for scratches, chips, that type of thing, broken corners.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how many times you happen to chip a corner doing that, then you end up installing the glass upside down so you can bury a corner in channel or a header or whatever you got to do because it accidentally got nicked.
Yeah,
Then
and usually you're chipping it on another piece of glass, you know, so it's like
Yeah,
it's two
Two
for
for-
one.
two first. Yep.
No,
And that was the reason for my question on that, the racking is because, I mean, you can stack stuff all around the walls, you know, all day long, but you're still moving stuff around constantly and putting something in front of the other. And here is just, I think it's more of a streamlined system to where it's, and you know, you'll have it figured out to where it's numbered and like you said, labeled, you write on the job ticket, this is in slot 14, this is in 19, and you don't have to move 50 things around trying to get to it. So I think it's a well
Exactly.
thought out.
And Steve, it's thought out because we've made the mistake. You know, I pulled the Smith job and it's the wrong Smith job or the Johnson job or whatever it is, a common name. And, you know, that got into the whole numbering system. Makes a whole lot of sense.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So now I remember Bill watching a video that you put together. I think you were hosting actually, and how you stage everything on carts.
Yeah.
So do you store things that way, or do you just stage them like that the night before or something like that?
Okay. So we have different size carts. The ones we staged the jobs on are the Groves cart that we posted a few weeks ago. They're like the 4-foot A-frame. They're made really nice where you can put either metal channeling or a bin there for your hardware in between the rack.
Mhm.
So you got the glass and you strap it on both sides as you roll it out. But we do have larger A-frames for those really big pieces of glass that we don't want to put into a slot because it would take two guys to lift it up, you know, to get it vertical and start
Mhm.
sliding it in.
Mhm.
So we keep some big A-frames for those.
So now are those on wheels or
Yes, they're all on wheels, even the small
everything's
ones.
on wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, Tim knows South Bay Showers. And actually, yeah, back back in the day, South Bay Showers, before they moved to that big plant, that they took over like a tortilla factory or something. Remember that? But before that, they were in a smaller place and they had all of their stuff on these carts that they had designed just for shower doors. So they were kind of a narrow wheelbase, maybe 3x3, and kind of a tall A-frame on wheels like that, that you could set basically just shower doors on, up, upright. And they just had a warehouse full of those carts. And it was a killer idea. I mean, I think it would be possible to tip one of those things over, because it did have kind of a narrow wheelbase, but I don't think it would be very easy to, if it was loaded up. But that was a great way to just stage jobs together on a rolling cart. So you could just, and if it's on wheels, it's easy to, if you have to shovel things around, it's easy to do, just wheel them around. But
Sure.
so I like that idea, but there'd be a little bit of an investment to build a whole bunch of those things. You'd have to have, someone do it for you or do it yourself.
Well, that would go against the walls of your hut, your Kwanzaa hut.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can roll them right up next to the wall where it's a little tighter.
Exactly. Especially if they're only, if the shower doors are only, 6 foot tall or 7 foot tall. You get it up there pretty close. And then if they're bigger than that, you just, wheel them towards the center of the building, basically.
Yeah. We didn't ask what your floor is like. Is it smooth enough where your wheels can run smoothly on it?
It's not too bad. Yeah, it's not
So like an asphalt or smoother?
It's concrete and
Concrete?
it's kind of old. It needs to be resurfaced. The building really needs a lot of love, actually.
What's the length and the width?
I think I figured out it's about 1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet, so 20 by 50,
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably about
Okay.
right.
Okay.
It's a great deal. It's a great building. It's a great location. The people I rent from are just awesome. They love us. Been here for a while. It's incredible what the price that I'm getting it at.
Are there multiple Quonset huts on that street or in that area, or are you the
No.
only one there?
It's the only one I know of, like, in town, actually.
Wow. How did that get there? Was that a military thing at one point?
That's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Wow.
long time. Yeah.
They're rare now. I mean, I can see kits. I see kits in some magazines where you can build your own. They give you the steel poles and you can
Yeah.
buy the metal and the interlock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a real affordable way to build if you can utilize the space properly.
Yeah. You got an overhead door on the end?
No, it's a sliding, like a barn door.
Like a barn door. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Well, could you make it an office sometime, an office and showroom, since you're on a busy road? Nice, you're right in town.
Mhm.
And you could do production, somewhere else, but use this as a great showroom.
Yeah, so we've got it's interesting. It's got a little about I don't know, 400 square feet of just a square building attached to the front of it. And it's almost like a Potemkin village thing, where like a false front to the building. So if you're driving by and you don't look really close, you can't tell that it's just a big shed, because it looks like a building from the front. Then you come in there, and then that's our little showroom area. Like I say, it's probably like 400 square feet, so it's not much. but it's enough to have, a couple of mock-ups in there and, coffee machine and a couple chairs, little coffee table so people can come in, sit down, talk. My wife works out of there. It sits there and greets people if they come in. So we do have like a little bit of a showroom area. I don't know. I mean, I suppose we could use the rest of the Quonset hut, make it into more of a showroom area, but it would need something would need to be done. It's because it's like a shed. It's basically like,
Mm.
yeah.
But it doesn't matter. You got a coffee machine.
But I got a coffee machine.
You're good.
So,
You're good.
what else do you need?
Bathroom.
Bathroom, yeah. Well, especially if you've got coffee, yeah.
Coffee, exactly.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, it's worked well, but I could, like I say, I can see us outgrowing that. Which would be good. What's that, Christina?
That's so exciting. I know that it's a cute building and it's a good location, but moving is tough, but it's very exciting, the prospects. So good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
We're glad. We are so glad we moved. And of course, we moved in a place that might be too big, but we know we don't have to move again for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and this might be a pretty funny segue into what we were talking about last week. I don't know. Did we end on horror stories? Was that right?
Yeah, we said we were gonna talk about something. Can't remember what it was.
I thought it was the HR.
Might have been. I don't know.
It was.
Well, I talked about HR, but then Chris said he had a story about something bad that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like the worst thing that's ever happened in your business or something. I don't know.
Oh
But
my gosh.
maybe that's not a good way to end the year. But that being said, when we moved, we rented a glass truck from a partner and had them, their driver help us move and load up all the glass in our shop and drive it on down to our new facility. And a car pulled out in front of that truck on a big street, and he had to slam on his brakes, their driver, and all of that glass was in the middle of the highway. Not the highway, it was a busy 4 to 6 lane road. So that was really fun. That was a really fun time, but not to discourage you from moving, just kind of a laugh now.
Kind of a laugh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, most of it remained on the truck all broken. It all shifted and hit each other. But the truck really was kind of like swerving to stop and avoid this car. And but luckily the lady who was at fault stayed, and their insurance took care of a portion of it. So we did okay. So, but yeah, she's right. It was in the street too. Yeah, it was a 4-lane plus a center lane, very busy. And it, we were all out there with shovels, and it was a mess.
So embarrassing and expensive. But anyway, that's our horror story.
Wow. That's a bad one.
We have one similar to Christina's. We have to get our glass tested for certification. So we send a truck full of all the sample pieces down outside Atlanta for the testing procedure. So I send a guy in a truck, and he hits the road, and he's got all his testing pieces of glass to remain certified. He gets 5 miles from the testing facility, slams on the brakes, glass goes all over the road. Everybody's okay. No, just glass everywhere. Police come. They check his license. Oh, it expired.
Oh, here we go.
So now, so now, so they took the license and cut it in half. I don't know why Georgia Police would do that with a Tennessee license, but not my place to argue. So I have to send 2 guys to Atlanta to pick up the truck because the other guy can't drive it back. And so I have 3 guys about 12 hours in. And then I have to remake the pieces and, of course, send them back down to get certified for the testing. So that was our little broken glass story.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Greg, when it
Yes.
broke, did it all go into little pieces?
It did. It was certified. I think the certification was right there, Bill. We should have
I was
taken
gonna
pictures.
say, you passed. Why would you do it again?
I should have brought a little scale with,
That's right.
taking pictures of it all. Yeah, look at that.
Done.
27 2 inches.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I think
So-
we were talking about charging cards and accounts
Yes.
receivable and payable, and somebody, that's where
what it
the
was.
story was.
Yeah,
So-
Greg mentioned something about that, and then Bill was talking about not storing them and tokenizing it, and then Chris said he's got a bizarre
had a story.
Yeah,
next
so
to it.
since it's like it's not like the worst thing that's ever happened or anything, but it's like this is a pretty bizarre story. Okay, so did a job for this contractor, a new contractor. Nice guy and everything, not a very big job, just shower enclosure. So went and measured it, gave him the price, said okay. We try to collect everything with credit cards. I mean, I didn't used to be like this, but now it's like so much more convenient to get paid with a credit card, even if it costs a few percent or whatever. But no, this guy's old school. He's gonna send us a check. So he sends us a check. So it takes like, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks. Finally, his check shows up, order the stuff, go do the work. And so I finish up and he's like gonna send me another check. So it's like, okay, whatever. It's not that big a deal. Like I say, it's not that big of a job. You think he owes me like $1,300 or something like that. So we're waiting for the check. I've got my wife calling him up. Hey, we're kind of still waiting for payment. Oh yeah, I sent the check. It's on the way, So I tell her a few days later, it's like, hey, this guy's check still hasn't come, we ping him again. So she calls him again. He's like, oh, that check has cleared my bank. He's like, look, I'll send you the image from the bank. So he sends us, texts us over the image of the front and the back of the check. So now the back of the check, the endorsement is like 2 like scribbles that are like unintelligible. And you can't even read what someone was trying to write on there. Now the check's been made out to GCS Glass. And somehow someone has managed to deposit or cash this check or whatever with some unintelligible scribble on it. So long story short, I mean, we're still waiting to get paid from this guy. It's like he says he's gone to his bank, and I actually went over to the house that he was working on. I caught him there. I just happened to be in the neighborhood working on another job. I dropped in, he was there. And we talked, and I was a little suspicious that like you can't just take a business check made out to some business and just cash it.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
Well, we
Technically.
we sent a check to a pest control company, and somebody took it out of the mailbox, copied the checks, put in new dollar amounts, and then on a Saturday went to several branches and cashed about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of checks, all fraudulent.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if your story, somebody else intercepted the check and cashed it.
Yeah.
Or what happened, but we
Yeah.
got involved with the bank's like, you got to press charges. I'm like, well, no, they defrauded you, not me. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there's quite a racket out there. They knew what day to go to the branch where nobody would trace it. And you took each check low enough so it didn't draw too much attention, high enough so it would add up to a fair amount of money, and went to several branches, cash, cash, cash. And we go to the checkbook, we're like, where's all this money out of here? And that's what had happened.
Right. Well, I mean, what you're describing is kind of typical check fraud where they wash the check, quote unquote, right? They
Right.
make a copy of the check and then put in new amounts with somebody else's name. But that's not what they did. They took the check that was made out to GCS and for the same amount that it was made out for, and somehow managed to cash or deposit the check or something. And somehow the bank can't seem to figure out. And this is the thing that I find most amazing is that if bankers wanted to know where I was right now, I guarantee you they could take a picture of me and put it into some database and it would tell them my GPS location. I guarantee you, because that technology exists. Yet, these same guys can't figure out what happened to the check, who cashed it, where the money went. I mean, I find that absolutely unbelievable.
Chris, let me ask you this, because we've just been through 3 of these. So I'm very, very familiar with this. First of all, what did the customer say?
So the customer said, well, just like I said, he said, hey, look, the check has cleared the bank.
Sure.
Here it is. And when I went to talk to him, he showed me on his phone.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's
what
like,
did he-
because I was thinking, come on, dude, what are you on crack or something? You know, because it's like, there's
Right.
no way that this is what's happened. Are you
So
trying
once you explain to him, once you
Huh?
explain to him that you didn't get it, what did he say he
Well,
would do?
and here's what I told him. It's like whether or not you get the bank to reimburse you or whatever, you still owe us the money.
That's correct.
It's just like any contractor. Like contractor says, "Oh well, the customer hasn't paid me." It's like, yeah, that sucks, but you know what? You still owe me the money, even if the customer never pays you.
Yep,
You know, I get paid.
that's correct.
So,
But-
so we're at the point where I don't know if we're just gonna have to just turn them over to collections or something.
Did you ask
you-
to see the endorsement on the first check and see what it looked like?
The first check,
We gave you a deposit.
the
so-
first check we had my endorsement on it because I endorsed it and deposited it.
Right, so you should have asked them to bring up that one. Now bring up the other one. Do they look the same? No.
Well, no, because I endorsed the first one and the second
Yeah.
one had some unintelligible scribble, you know, so. Yeah, and the thing is like with our bank, you know, I have to endorse it a certain way. They want for deposit only at the name of their bank and then my signature.
So did they find out that he cashed it at one of your bank's branches? So
No.
let's just say you use Bank of America, if that's your bank.
Uh-huh.
Did they go to another Bank of America and
No.
cash it?
No, because the bank so we bank with a bank out of, I don't know where it is. It's not in this state. Because our headquarters is in Arizona, right?
Yeah,
So, and I think that bank might be in Arizona. There's no branch out here. It's
Oh.
like it's an obscure bank.
whatever bank cashed it, first of all, shouldn't have, because it's
Right.
made out to a company. That's
Right.
number one. Number two, the guy still owes you the money from he'll get the money back from his bank. He
Yeah.
won't be out of pocket for a second one.
Right.
That's a banking issue that they'll take care of. You should be made whole and he should be made whole. The
Absolutely.
banks broke down the procedure, but the stimulus of all this is a police report. You must have a police report to start the process going for the banks. They're not going to do anything until you file a report. You went mute.
I muted myself. Yeah, he was in the process of doing that. when I talk to him. But here, I mean, the thing is, it's like I really don't have, the extra time to like chase the guy down. What I need to do is just contact a collection agency, put a collection
Or
agency.
just, Chris can't put a lien on the property?
Yeah, I guess that's probably the thing to do, is just send them a notice of lien. That's probably the easiest thing to do.
Especially where we've had good luck is when a builder, we find out he sold the house or he's out of the house,
Uh-huh.
and the job hasn't been finished paying for, et cetera, et cetera. Just last week, he wasn't responding to voicemails and emails. I sent him a text and said, yeah, would you please let the new owners of the property let them know that a lien is being filed on the property so they're not surprised. And boom, phone rings in about 5 minutes. Oh, I thought we had paid that. I thought we had paid that. So he did not want to be embarrassed
Yeah.
in front of his customer. And it was a real threat, but it wasn't rude. It wasn't it was just, hey, please, we've attempted to collect money, collect final payment. For some reason, that's not happening. In the state of Tennessee, we have a certain number of days to file the lien, and that's fast approaching. So please let the new owners of the property know a lien's being filed on the property. And said very straightforward in that way. And the phone rings. So
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. That's the thing to do.
Yeah. And you could tell the guy, had you answered your phone before, you would have known this. You wouldn't have got this call.
right. And you're not angry. You're just
It's just business. It's nothing personal.
Correct.
Right.
You're just collecting what's owed you. Yep.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
But Chris, do you think that this guy is involved? I mean, like he's avoiding paying you for this and somehow.
I was suspicious of that at first, because first of all, it took him too long to pay. It took like 2 or 3 weeks or something, and it's like it shouldn't take someone that long to make a payment. And then it was like, oh yeah, this kind of crazy story of like someone somehow managed to intercept the check and cashed it or something. It's like, well, that's insane. That's bizarre. You can't do that in today's world. At least I thought you couldn't.
I would check and see when the time limit runs out on the liens, because that's an important date to hit. And that also gives you an excuse to say, the clock's run out. I got to put a lien on the property.
I'll just send it to him tomorrow. I'll just send it to him. I've got a little
You can
form
tell
right here.
You can tell him exactly what Bill was saying and just say that he's not going to be out anything. You're not going to be out anything. It's the bank's responsibility, and
Right.
give him that opportunity before you start talking lien.
Nah, I don't mind talking lien.
This is actually a very good topic because we have some lien situations right now. And one of them is past the lien date. So my understanding is you can still do a lien. They can't enforce it, but it would be an encouragement for them to pay because it can kind of ding them a little bit on their credit and everything else. Does anybody have any comment on that?
Well, just that they can't do anything. They can't sell the property. They can't refinance the property. So if you've got patience, I'm not sure about the credit rating, but certainly when you put a lien on the property, they just can't do anything with it. Of course, nobody's going to refinance right now with interest rates, but they will one day. My dad had a lien of 40 years old and he collected on it.
Holy moly.
Yeah, but you got to renew it every year. They
Yeah,
have
see,
they have an expiration, so you have to go back in and re-extend it.
Yeah, and check your state. Different states have different filing times. So if you do any work across the border in another state, the laws are different. So you really need to know what you're looking at.
Right. And I've never had to file a lien. All I've ever had to do is threaten. So I've got, like a letter that's basically an intent to lien it, and then that's always been enough to get someone to pay.
So
I've
I know
anyone refuse to pay after that.
So in Florida, they have a thing that you have to file a notice to owner, which is a precursor to a lien.
Okay, right.
And a notice to owner is if you're doing work for Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Smith is the customer of contractor ABC, and ABC is the one that hires you to do the shower doors. Well, you don't have a direct relationship with Mrs. Smith, right? So what they're saying is you send Mrs. Smith a notice. It's called a notice to owner that, hey, ABC has hired me to do these shower doors. And in the event that I don't get paid, I come to you. So when you pay Mr. Smith, get a waiver signed proving that you have paid him and shift the responsibility to him. If you don't get that signed, the responsibility still falls back on you, even if you've paid him and you don't have a waiver.
Mhm.
So it's a very formal process, but every state is different. Like Greg says, you check your own state, what that process is. You also have.
Yeah, I think California is the same way because, believe it or not, I actually received one of those notices like 2 years ago when we got our pool done, and it was the concrete guy trying to collect from the pool builder, and yeah, it was basically the same thing. They just give you like just a general description, of what was done and with the dollar amount, and it's just kind of like a formality, but it went through like it was, I mean, it looked pretty official, but it was like a lien processor or whatever.
Yeah, and it is official. It has to be done if it's going to be an enforceable lien. That's one process that has to be done, and the second part is you have to fall within the time frame. You have to file it within 45 days of the last day on the job.
Right, and and for people who are patient and accommodating, collecting money, they can get bit by not filing it in time. So that's why it's real important.
Yeah.
I believe it's 90 days in Tennessee. I can't remember exactly. So you have a little bit more time, but some states it's very short and some states it's longer.
Yeah, and some material guys, like I said, on his pool, he's getting it, and they'll do it immediately as a course of business, not even as a threat. I don't even give it a second thought. We're doing business with you. Hey, ABC's hired us to do it. We're making you aware we just delivered stone to your pool, or we did this or that. And it just makes you aware that when you pay your bill to your contractor, you make sure that that guy gets paid. You get something signed off that they get paid.
Yeah, some contractors will have you sign a release of lien, right? As soon as they pay you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is smart thing to do.
And be careful on those. Some builders want you to sign it before you get the check.
Yeah, right.
And I will not do it. They'll say, "Oh, we got your check here. Sign this." I said, "No. I sign it when I get the check."
Not just when you get the check, when the check clears the bank.
Yeah. No, I get it when I get the check. If it doesn't clear, that's a fraud. That's different.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's a different situation.
So it's a whole nother can of worms, man.
Yeah. But yeah, they want you to send it. So no, I'll send you a partial. And until I get it, so that at least you can close, I'll give you a partial waiver. So there's a difference. That's a whole thing that you could have somebody in on to talk about lien rights, the best way of handling that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it happens when the interest rates go up, people are hurting, the economy slows down, the builders start slowing their bill pay. If the interest rates go back down, the building market comes back up, the economy's going again, you're going to have less of that problem. But right now, if you see a slowdown, it slows down everywhere. And a lot of us subs are at the end of their pay list. We're at the end of the job. So you really have to watch your receivables.
Yep. What's amazing is go back a year or so when everybody should be, builders should be rolling in it. And you got some slow pay builders. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You could charge anything you want for houses right now and you still can't make it work. You still are slow pay.
Well, some of them, when the interest rates went up, they're slow paying on purpose to get an extra 5% on your money.
Yep.
Now time is of the essence on money where, 3 years ago, you couldn't get squat for your money in the savings bank, so it didn't really matter.
Right.
Kind of interesting, the money games people play.
Well, speaking of that, actually, I just got a really weird request for from this customer. I'm going to look to see what it's called, but it's like he wanted me to sign this letter. It's called the Assignment of Interest in what does this say? Security deposits or something. And it's just saying that the bank is loaning him the money for the deposit for pretty much all the contractors working in this new build home. And that the bank has just an interest in the deposit payment being paid back to the bank from him. And that's all good and fine. But if you're getting a loan for the deposit from a bank, how are you going to pay the balance? And that's what I don't want to sign this. I don't really know what to think of it. Has anybody seen that before?
I have not. Is it coming from the bank? Or or is this something he drew up himself with his own attorney, or is the bank saying they are requiring it?
The bank is requiring it.
So it sounds like I could be wrong, that if you default, they're coming after you for the deposit. Does that make sense? They want the money. They're going to want that's a secured, the deposits that we have are unsecured credit. Does that make sense? So if a company goes out of business and they have 100 shower customers, those are all unsecured credits. So, and I think what they're trying to do is secure their deposit. That's my guess, but I would reach out to the bank.
Yeah, I think I will, because I just don't really feel great about this at all.
That sounds a little strange.
I would
So-
talk
It does.
to your banker first,
Yeah.
Christina, instead of that
Good
bank.
idea.
Talk to your banker. He's going to be on the lookout for you.
Yeah,
Greg,
that's a
part of-
so if I understood you right, what you're saying is we're essentially giving the customer a loan for the goods we're doing. And if the bank, if he defaults at the bank, then the bank
Correct.
wants us to pay that money back to the bank.
That's what it sounds like, that you'll become a secured creditor, that you're not secured. The bank is securing themselves as a creditor.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like. Otherwise, why
Yeah.
would they have you sign it?
Well,
Basically,
this
they're
is
saying,
a
Yeah,
huge
that-
job, and it's all real fishy. They've had a lot of issues, cost overruns, so it just doesn't sound good to me.
I don't
It's
like
a
it.
giant mansion in Atlanta, and we've been working on designs and bids and whatever with this designer for months, and it's just taken all of my time, and we haven't gotten any money for the design. And I wonder, at what point do you start asking somebody for a design fee? I had no idea it was going to take this much to just
Oh,
well, Keith had posted a story a while ago about a big job that everybody was counting on him to get before the recession. And the biggest blessing of all was you didn't get the job because they had defaulted. And I'm not suggesting these people are going to default. All I'm saying is be very careful to be lured by the size of a job. That's a terrible, and I don't mean this insulting way at all, I've been there, where you get lured by the size of the job and the prestige of the job and being able to tell your friends about the job. And then all of a sudden the bank wants you to secure, that's a red flag. All of a sudden you're on the hook for dollars. So the showers go in and now they don't pay. What happens? Have you signed your responsibility? I mean, I know nothing about this deal, but to me, the hair's standing up on the back of my neck to walk away from this deal.
It stood up on the back of my neck as soon as he sent it, because I don't deal with the homeowner. I go through the designer, and the homeowner called me on my cell phone on a Friday evening at 7 p.m.
Mhm.
And he said, I emailed you this thing I need you to sign before we deposit the money. And I'm going to Europe next week, so I won't be in the country. And I need you to sign it before Monday morning. Well, it's Friday evening. I can't call a bank. I can't call a lawyer. It was just like really weird.
So let me get this right. You've been working with them for months for no pay, and now they send you over a financial document to sign with no time to review it.
Right.
That's
Okay,
right.
just checking. I wasn't
That's
sure.
not fishy. That's not fishy.
No, that's
Well,
fine. I'd sign it. I'd sign it immediately.
Right.
Then-
Well, I didn't sign it.
Zimbabwe or something.
Well, I called the designer because she's my contact and we've done work with her plenty of times. And I told her, I asked her what the document was and if he made her sign it and if any other subs have signed it and if she's familiar with him asking me to do that. And she seemed kind of confused and she was like, wait, I didn't really realize what it was saying. And I didn't really realize, he might not pay the balance. And I didn't really think about all that. And then she was like, I'm going to talk to my husband. I'll call you back. Never heard back. I never signed the document. I haven't heard from any of them.
Good.
I mean,
Good for
she
you.
texted,
Good.
well, thanks. But she texted me yesterday and she's like, hey, can you send over that proposal again? And it's like,
No,
I am just going to not bring up this document
Oh, yeah.
again. I'm signing it.
Yeah, and also you're at a point where you've done enough work. You're either their choice or you're
Yeah.
not. And if you give your services away, then that's what they're worth. So at some point you've got to walk. And I think that time has passed, but maybe not. You guys
You can send her a document, have them sign it. Say, hey, I've done all this work. Why don't you sign this invoice first?
Right. Well,
Right. And you know
Once
how
you-
that'll go over.
Yeah, why don't you give us the order first before I do all this?
Right.
Well, what I actually ended up doing was it was going to be like a $70,000 order with showers and mirrors and all kinds of things. And I ended up splitting it into chunks and saying, okay, we'll do phased delivery.
That's good.
And, we'll start there because I'm not going to be out $35,000.
No, as we tell our customers, we're not a bank.
no, B of A.
Well,
Clinton Glass and Bank. I like that.
Bank of glass.
Yeah. Get a picture of your glass truck as an armored car. I like it.
Yeah, people will definitely take advantage, and especially when it's a project appears to have prestige, and your spidey senses, so to speak, are well deserved, well served. So,
yeah. Well,
it's not you're not getting the respect you deserve. That's the part that really is really insulting. Is that all the quality work you do and the reputation you guys have, and they're basically they don't care, and they're going to take advantage. And anybody who's been doing this a long time goes, yeah, no, I don't need any more practice in giving away money. I don't need any more practice in losing money. I don't need any more practice in putting in showers for free. I've already got plenty of practice in that.
Well, thank you. And when I talked to the designer, she just made it sound like the assignment of interest and security deposits form is a normal form. And I didn't think that was normal. So I didn't know if you all had ever heard of it. Sounds like
No.
Didn't they make her sign it after, their initial
deposit
funds for her when she was requesting more money? Didn't they make her sign it?
Yeah, they did. And she did. I think she doesn't know either. She's relatively new to design. She's relatively young.
Yeah.
On the innocent side, maybe they're trying to protect the job from subs that take the deposits and don't follow through with the services.
Right.
That would be a generous way of looking at it. So if you want to, but I don't think that's the case. So because they have to give deposits to plenty of things. You're not the only thing that they have to give deposits to. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody wants deposit.
the last thing I'll say, because we are kind of out of time, I don't want to monopolize it, but there are about 4 contractors that we partner with working on this job in various ways: design, tile, iron, and metallurgy. And all of them got paid their deposits, but none of them have gotten paid any balances yet. But they're kind of still working on the job. It's ongoing. So they are all a little worried, and they all have spidey senses, and we've kind of all been on the phone, and we're just Yeah,
Right,
it's,
and the bank is nervous. That's why they're asking for security. They're trying to spread the burden around. So, in the much higher likelihood this defaults and this all comes tumbling down, they want to make sure they've got secure places to go grab their money, and you would
Yeah.
be one of them.
not doing that. Yep. All right. Well, I'll call our banker tomorrow.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Christina, maybe things will change next year.
Yeah.
That's right. It's always
Uh,
next year.
Not according to Connor.
Just a lead into it.
Well, we are out of time.
All
It's
right.
6:30. I know it's so sad when that happens.
Well, the next time, Chris, that wasn't your worst story. We want to hear the worst story, the worst thing that
The
happened.
word, okay, I'll see if I can come up with something worse than
All
that.
right. All right.
To kick
Yeah.
off the
Hey, and if you can think of someone in a related industry, like someone who would like to come on and talk about lien law or you know, something like that. Your banker, you want to have your banker come on and talk to us. Some professional who would like to address this group, we're open to that. So we've got a whole system set up to accommodate people to come in and be our guest speakers. So if you think of someone, send them our way. It'd be awesome.
Well, one thing you might pick up on, I'd just like to mention the credit card fee thing. You kind of touched on it, Chris, tonight. And we don't need to spend much time, but I want to tell everybody that I think it saves a lot of money to pay the fees when you get to a certain point, because you're right, it saves you a lot of time.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So
So-
true. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Happy New Year.
See you next year.
Happy New Year.
See you
yeah.
guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you next
Happy
year.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Bye.